That's amendment
Thanks for joining
number
us.
5.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. We have a couple of things to go over, but we will take our attendance,
Just hold on.
please.
Attendance. Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. O'Connell.
Here.
Ms. Branco. Here. Ms. Dion. Here. Mr. Oliveira.
Here.
And Mr. Smith.
Here.
Thank you very much. So as I had, before the meeting, notified those in attendance that there is a sign-in sheet, and the purpose of that is to encourage members of the residents of the city, if they're interested, that I can send them a notice ahead of time about meetings, and then they'll also will be able to communicate with each other. So thank you, ladies. And I would just want to double check, you received the notice of the meeting in
It wasn't
advance?
them. It wasn't-
Okay.
It wasn't them.
Oh, it wasn't
It
you?
was 2 other people.
So now you're going to be advised of the meeting. Thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Do anybody have any questions? Did everybody get a chance to look over the minutes?
You make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the July meeting.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item on the agenda is our financial updates. Maria, would you please give us an update on that?
All right, so as our last meeting that I reported the bank statements, and since then, less the amount of the warrant paid previously and a refund of an insurance premium covering the parking garages that were sold to the city, we have an estimated balance of $1,590,529.76. That does not include interest. And then I prepared for you the warrant for this month, and so thankfully, it's minimal.
Did everybody have a chance to look over that warrant? Anybody have any questions about any of those open invoice statements? Any questions, comments? Do we have a motion to approve the warrant as presented for $3,553.79, please?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Minute. Warrant.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the next item is the update of the audit.
So, as you know, I reported that there are various materials that are not currently in the possession of the board. And to that extent, it's been, we've tried as best we can to locate certain asset information and other information. So per the auditor, Jennifer Cook, the audit is currently with the principal of their firm, who wants to make sure that they have a full listing of items needed for further clarification or information before presentation to the board. The plan is before the principal. We've been in communication. There are some potential liabilities, i.e. the mitigation, the EPA, the DEP, EPA non-compliance letter that we'll have to take into account, but just want to, because it's such an important item, want to keep the board informed about this matter as it plays out.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions about the audit that we haven't done? Thank you very much, Maria. The next item on the agenda is the Economic Development Director's report. The administrative report, please.
Yeah, so we, again, trying to keep our doors open and actually try to get a hold of the other information that is very important to this board in order to move forward. I had a very good discussion with VHB, which is the previous contractor for the board. They were responsible for doing all of the site plans and the other work necessary at the biopark. They have, as I mentioned at the last meeting, forwarded us all their files In addition, that we have an outstanding matter to address, and we've spoken to them, and that outstanding matter is a wetland survey. There's not one currently that is active, and so we are in the process of getting estimates to do that wetland survey, so we'll be able to sell that, market the remaining part of that parcels. VHB does not believe that there's been too much of a migration on that wetlands. However, it is necessary for us to get it actually surveyed to be in compliance with Massachusetts law and the applicable environmental statutes. Had a very nice meeting with the Preservation Society of Fall River, and we discussed a number of the context of the role of historic preservation and economic development. I informed them that I would help them or provide information regarding the incentives that may apply to any businesses with whom they wish to partner and do economic development, and so I told them that is something that we are working on. So again, a nice partnership that we would be working with. In addition, administrative report, and I think the most important thing that I have to offer you today, on August 1st, we received notice from the Department of Housing and Community Development from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that both the Fall River Downtown Urban Renewal Plan and the Fall River Waterfront Urban Renewal Plans have been approved.
Yay.
So congratulations, the official letter August 1st. We will be able to proceed and move forward, working closely with Bill Roth, the city planner. And so thank you, city. It's actually going to be great to make this move forward.
Yeah, that
And
was a
then
long road.
one
That was nice
other
to meet.
matter, an update on our FOF contract. So they did find, Mr. Harbor Master, that there is debris on the north side of the city pier. So they have given us an estimate to send down divers to determine what they think, what is down there and what might be involved in order to remove that. Initial idea is that it could be a pier that had
think it's a
disintegrated
barge.
or
Yeah, it's a
fought.
barge, it's a barge.
You
It's
sure
a
it's
barge.
a, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's good to know. So let me relay that to them, and so part of their contract would be to do this survey work. So we don't have to amend that part, but I just want to let you know that they'll be sending down divers to determine the extent of what it would take to remove what it is, if there's any creosote or anything like that, if it needs any hazmat removal, and two, what it would take to remove it. But they did provide us with soundings, so it's really great to know that there's that the water there at low tide is very good, and so the board's vision of a marina type setting there is still quite viable.
Thank you. Next item is the contract updates.
So we had I mentioned this at the last meeting for your consideration is to issue, negotiate, and execute a contract for a marketing communications firm that will assist us in the implementation of those urban renewal plans that were approved. And for example, I gave you a possible scope of services that we would be looking for, including but not limited to reaching out to the developers that in Fall River, the developers outside of Fall River, engagement of the businesses within those urban renewal districts, and coming up with a actually communications plan to communicate well with all of the stakeholders, all the residents. So again, it's a contract in order to help us move this forward quickly and as best we can with as you still only have a staff with one.
Did everybody have a chance to look over that scope? Anybody have any questions? Do you feel it's lacking anything? Too broad? Are we asking too much from one firm? Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Does anybody have any thoughts on the dollar amount for that scope of services?
or what else you'd like to see happen?
I think it's exactly what we need, honestly. We have to be more proactive than we've been, I think, and I think this will fit those needs.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have to let everybody know that the urban renewal plans are out there and approved, and the scope of what we can actually undertake in those plans, and get a little good press is never a bad thing. Bob, do you have any thoughts?
No. How many properties do we still have? You know, that's what I'm wondering, how much work are they gonna do? How many properties do we?
I told you, I have some property cards,
Yeah.
it's less than,
You're talking about redevelopment authority property or property that's covered by the urban renewal plan? So they're two different
yeah,
things.
there are two different
Yeah.
things.
So the urban renewal plan
Yeah.
spans
I know that,
over
yeah.
everybody's
How many
property.
properties do we still have?
Well, all we have is the city pier.
Yeah.
One lot left at Commerce Park and then
And
the
the other
elevation.
thing, yeah.
lot.
So the rest of the work that they're gonna do themselves, besides those three lots, you know?
Well, we're responsible for implementing the urban renewal plan, and
Okay.
within that, the urban renewal plan has identified dozens of parcels for various uses. We certainly want to reach out. This would be an extension, well, first of all, to advise the universe that our urban renewal plans have been approved. And within that context, then we go back to the urban renewal plan, see who already the key stakeholders are, and to create a mechanism by which the communication is current, ongoing, and that it also provides a mechanism for the general public to communicate with us and to keep them informed, because this is the most important thing that this redevelopment authority can do, and it's my goal is to keep the public informed at all times and to keep that information current. So again, you need a system, right? You need a system in order to be able to affect that. So part of this communications would be to upgrade our website, provide a mechanism other than people just feeling, well, who do they call? How do they call?
Okay.
How do they communicate? And then we still have to work within the four corners of the urban renewal legislation and what we are required to do.
How much do we think these services are gonna cost?
Well, I actually wanted to be modest here, and so I think they could balloon, but at a minimum, we are looking for basics, and so that's why I have this recommendation for you. And it's up to you if you want. If you increase this above $50,000, we would issue a full-blown RFP. Otherwise, we will comply with 30B's regulations for under $50,000. So, and then my purpose for under $50,000 is we can fast track it versus the additional time it would take. That doesn't preclude, this does not prevent you from at some point saying, look, we need to go out and do something larger. So,
Any thoughts, Joe?
So Maria, what comes to mind is that we need to pass the word, as you indicated, that both of these urban renewal plans are approved, and get that beyond our community, right? Get other people to know that, and see if anyone reaches out to us and get engaged with what we plan to do, and see if they have any interest to be part of that process. I would suggest that we take that step first. Let's see if we can disseminate information as soon as possible to not only to the local area, but beyond that. I mean, that would be my recommendation. I don't know if we need to make this in the form of a motion, but that would be the first step I would recommend.
So the first step would be authorizing her to spend, making a motion for her to spend some money
Get this information out there.
to get it out there,
Right, right.
on a local and regional level.
Right, because we need folks to know, not only here that this has been approved, but also in other communities that may want to venture out and come to Fall River and work with us on these great plans that were approved. So
Right.
I'm not sure if there's a way to read a motion, John, that you suggest.
Are you talking about within this scope of services? Is that,
I'm talking about in the
Because thi-
scope of getting this urban
so
renewal
this
plans.
is a scope for communications and marketing services. So if you were telling Maria to go forward, you'd make a motion to say, authorize her to engage a firm to do communications and marketing services in accordance with the scope of work, not to exceed X dollars or something. And if that's what you want to do.
Yeah,
that's-
or
And
we-
we're talking about $50,000 cap, right? That's.
Well, I think we're talking, I was thinking 50 was gonna be a high end. I don't think we should.
But we need to put a cap in order to allow Maria to work at her own discretion, right? As long as we give the boundaries of.
And the bidding laws have different
Yeah.
levels depending on where you are.
So if we fall below the bidding laws,
If we're not
and if
prepared
they're
to,
not providing enough.
if we're not prepared to do this now, if we don't have
Well,
adequate
Can I
information
clarify? This
cost-wise.
is bid. This is actually bid.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
a,
We,
it's just
we
not a
send it
full
out
RFP.
to,
You need 3 quotes.
Yeah,
at
3
least
quotes,
3,
right.
but my preference is to send it out to more. And then it's the streamlined process because the Massachusetts procurement laws allow us to do that. And it's bidding, it's just one form of the bidding process. I didn't really clear about that.
Yeah, I agree with Joe. I think we need to get out there, not only locally and regionally, with everything that we're doing. We're getting a lot of press with South Coast Rail coming. They just showed the specs in the newspaper, so people are seeing that. So I think, $35,000 was more than my thought versus 50. Does anybody else have any figures, any thoughts?
Well, the way that Maria was saying is that it just authorizes it to secure a bid, so at that point in time, we're not locking ourselves down to any costs, right? But I would go even further, getting to press releases, the different media outlets to get information going. I mean, that will be free of charge, right? So we could probably do that first, and at the same time, start looking at quotes for the marketing part of it.
I think that 50 is just the threshold for 30B. Is that why you came up with that?
Right.
So, I'm fine with the 50.
So we need to make a motion to authorize her
Not to exceed.
to not exceed a certain dollar amount that we all feel comfortable with.
To come in a lot lower.
Right.
Okay, so it is the security quotes, and then once those are in, to make a determination, and that determination is based on not exceeding $50,000.
Right, and I
Right.
provided you with my evaluation criteria,
Right.
so you know how I will be responding to these.
Did you want to make that motion, Joe?
John, can you
So I think it would
put
be,
that in legal language
Put it in
here for
legal
us?
language.
it'd be a motion to authorize the economic development director to seek quotes for communications and marketing services for an amount not to exceed $50,000.
And I would suggest and execute the contract on behalf of the board. If you want to look at them beforehand, just let me know.
I feel comfortable to make the motion as
I did one.
John stated.
With
the
the- with
amendment-
my-
With the amendment to execute, that will expedite the process.
I
So-
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then, next item on the agenda, economic development updates.
I think it's all, I gave what I had to report in previously.
So the next item on the agenda is real estate transaction at South Coast Life Science and Technology Park at Fall River, located on Innovation Way from Mass. Mr. Mungian is here with his attorney and others to give us a presentation. So if you would please come forward, and we welcome you here this evening.
Thank you very much. Just give me a second.
And for the benefit of the public, if you could identify yourself prior to making any comments to the board,
I
I'd
will.
appreciate it.
I will. Just gonna get myself organized. I still use a pen.
Mr. Coughlin, actually, do you want to put us in context about why we are at this, why we are,
I'm good.
what we are actually considering here
Sure.
today?
So, as the board knows, the board entered into a land disposition agreement for this parcel on Innovation Way back in 2016. It's been amended several times to to change the use first from a hotel and other uses to a Flying J facility. Both of those uses were previously determined not to be feasible. So the board executed a Fifth Amendment back earlier this year to allow the developer to come back with an alternative proposal. And I think what we're here to listen to tonight is what that alternative proposal is and to make a decision.
Fair enough. My name is Attorney Louis Souza. I'm from Providence. I also appeared here for the pilot flying approval in 2018 on the applicant's behalf, and I thank Ms. Marasco, Mr. Coughlin, and everyone for allowing us to appear this evening. This morning at 10 o'clock a.m. in the Bristol County Register of Deeds, Mr. Mongeon appeared with the balance of the funds that were due under the contract for the purchase price. And we waited until 10 for someone to, from the authority to appear, and no one appeared. The ramifications of that, they're all provided for in a letter that I sent today. The long and short of it is that Mr. Mongeon feels he duly exercised the option and he has the right to acquire the land according to the LDA, and that he fully intends to follow that through to the end, whether it's the easy way or the hard way. We do hope it's the easy way. Tonight, you guys have the choice to make. He's ready to perform. He wants to buy the land. If you decide tonight to go ahead with the revisions to the plan that are going to be shown to you, then everything's moved. With that said, the new developer of the property is an entity called RI DevCon LLC, and it will be making an independent presentation to you. I did want to show you, just for your recollection, the prior approval that you issued. These are the plans that were submitted associated with that approval. I have several copies of these, John. Do you want me to
We can hand them off.
distribute these?
Yeah.
So, give you the whole lot, and whatever you don't need, just
Yeah,
leave
thank
that.
you.
What is that?
You know what, I'm just gonna move it here. In the essence of time. Yeah, take one of each.
Assuming everyone has one? Oh, no, not yet. Okay, so first I turn it to the rendering. This is what was presented to you. It was a specimen building from,
I've got like,
it was a specimen building for the pilot flying, which is a Berkshire Hathaway company. They build these all over the country. So this is their specimen building, a brown block building.
Everybody has one?
Yeah, this is the type of plan submission that was given approval to a specimen building. And then turning your attention to the site plan from that application, you see what was proposed was what's called a truck stop or a truck facility. It was oriented to service the warehousing industry that's starting to flourish inside of the park. So looking at the site from Innovation Way, to the left side is the building, and then most of the other improvements were oriented towards providing fuel to the trucks or other automobiles. So that's what was approved before. So now I'd like to show you what's the revised plan, and I have several copies of that as well. Actually, you know what? I thought I printed a lot of the renderings, but I only have one set of these. But I do have lots of copies of the site plans. So we'll start with the site plan.
Yeah, the board, I made copies for the board and it's
Oh, you
being,
did?
and it's being distributed
Oh,
down,
they
but
have
it's
the-
not
They have-
11 by 17.
Oh, okay. You
That's
have
the only difference.
The renderings, so they have those for the
we-
building.
Yeah,
Is this what that is, Mark?
Yeah, and I would just ask the board
Yeah, I have color renderings
to
that.
just note that they received it.
Yeah, I mean, this is if you want to just hand this down and
Yeah.
look at the
This is-
color renderings, there's a whole set there. But turning to the site plan, again, looking at the project from Innovation Way, and if you compare it to the pilot flying proposal, you'll see yeah, if you compare the two, you'll see that the building is oriented, the main use building, which is it's a convenience store with interior food uses. That's what Pilot Flying was proposing, and that's what the new developer is proposing. You see that the building is roughly the same size. The only difference, it's in the same location. The entrances are all in the same place. The only difference is that the orientation of the building is a little bit different. And the other difference in this plan is that instead of the, off to the right, having the additional fuel dispensaries, what this new plan will provide for is for a restaurant, a full-service restaurant. But that is a phase, and the developer will explain that to you. That is to come. The immediate plan is to build the facility to the left, which is the retail facility, with the restaurant use to come later. And the developer understands that when the actual user of the restaurant is identified, they will come back and seek an additional approval for that second user. So, in essence, then, the use that you approved before and the one that you are being asked to pass on today is essentially the same. And what we're requesting tonight, we hope that after the presentation is made by RI DevCon, they're going to give you a background on this very impressive company, that you would authorize the transfer of the property to them before the building is completed. Without that, it creates lots of logistical problems of having someone spend all this money on a piece of land they don't own. So the understanding I have, and this will be detailed, is that as soon as the other regulatory approvals are obtained, the ground will break, and it's about a 6 to 8 month, I believe, process to opening. And the second thing we would like is for you to confirm, under the LDA, there is a primary use, which is the use that's approved under the LDA, and we'd like you to confirm that this alternate plan and the use that is shown in the alternate plan is a authorized primary use under the LDA. So those are the two things that we're asking you for. And with that, unless anyone has any questions for me, I would turn it over to RI DevCon and the representatives of the Proctor Shanty Group in Providence.
I just want to say that thank you for coming and supplying all this information for us. And I just want to say that as a board, we're here to listen, excuse me, Michelle, but we're here to listen to the new proposal. You know, we're all here doing our best.
I know.
That we've been very easy. We feel we're going to move forward very easy. We're not here to, by any means, engage in anything in a legal fight. So your opening comments and statements seemed just a little off kilter to me, saying that you would do it the easy way or the hard way, where as a board, we've engaged from day one
Understood.
with Mr. Mungin since 2016.
I
the
understand.
easy way.
No, I understand. Well,
So I just feel there wasn't any need for that comment to
well,
us, that as a board.
I just wanted to make it clear. That's not what he wants.
In a very pleasant, happy environment.
Yes.
And it just slightly took offense
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry about
to
that.
to saying that we're gonna engage in a legal battle when we're all here to listen to your
I hope.
proposal.
No, I understand, and you know what? He doesn't want that. I don't want that. No one wants that. But,
I'm just saying that
but-
that was your statement.
yeah,
to
no,
avoid that-
but it's the fact. It is the
But I'm
fact.
just saying that we're here easy.
I understand.
It's been easy for 3 years.
Oh, I understand and
we all
sincerely
wanna move
appreciate that.
easy. So all I'm saying is that you sat in front of us and in your opening statement to us said, we will do this the easy way or we will do it the hard way. And I'm just saying personally,
Well, out of respect,
that was just a little,
I understand, but out of respect
Not
for my
necessary to
position, out of respect for my position, I have been told by Ms. Marasco that we do not have an agreement, that we don't have an option. So I don't know how that leaves me as an attorney in any other position other than to say, well, yes, we do, and we're going to take action to enforce it. It's not meant with any disrespect. It's my job.
Actually, Madam Chair, I said neither of those things, the way that they've been presented. So we're just going to leave that at that and
Yeah.
let the record speak for itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we differ, but, you know, we don't want a lawsuit. We want to go ahead. We want everybody to walk away happy. And so with that, we'll show you the new proposal.
Just to also set this record straight, this, the notice of the last option, we received it after the deadline, and as a courtesy, while Attorney Coughlin was away, we invited Mr. Munchin and his people to come and make a presentation, which they did on July 30th, and we had a very good conversation. I raised a number of questions.
The option was
And
timely exercised, if I may. So, here we go. The option was timely exercised. It was sent on July 15th in accordance with the contract of sale. So to say that it was not timely sent is an example of why I am now in the position that I am. She's saying we did not timely exercise it, and that's not true.
I didn't say
So-
that.
so again-
I just represented the fact.
You said that
I didn't. I said the conclusion, that you're drawing a conclusion. So why don't we move on with
Yes,
everyone's
yes.
information, and as I told you from the beginning, the most important thing for this board and for my position is to get all the information and all the facts to this board, and then by extension, all the information and all the facts to the general public.
Good facts.
The people of Fall River deserve that,
Yes.
so.
All right. All right.
with that, we'll welcome everybody around to hear this new group.
Hi, good evening.
Come forth and partner with Mr. Munchin on
How are you?
this
Thank
property.
thank you for having us tonight. My name is Ron Hadar. I'm the General Counsel of Prakashani Companies. We are RI DevCon is our subsidiary that does these sorts of gasoline station transactions. Our company has been around since 1958. We're based in Cranston, Rhode Island. Since that time, we've been involved in billions of dollars of real estate transactions. We've owned every class of real estate there is: industrial, retail, hospitality, apartments, single-family homes. We are an entrepreneurial organization, and over the years we've invested in both New England, southern New England especially, as well as across the country. Today we really have two or three major lines of businesses. The first, which we're nationally known for, is the hospitality business. We're one of the largest privately owned owners and developers of hotels in the United States. And then our other businesses is what we consider, opportunistic investing and development of real estate, primarily more locally outside the hospitality space. We've recently hired Nick Giacobbe here, who has a long history in the gasoline business in Rhode Island and southeastern New England. I myself also have a little bit of a history in the gasoline business. I was represented as in-house counsel at my former job, probably the largest developer of Stop and Shop standalone gas stations in the country. I was involved in something like 20 or 30 gasoline stations being built for Stop and Shop right around the recession, unfortunately. So we came across this site. I'm going to introduce, if you don't have any questions for me, I just wanted to, give you an idea of who our organization is, that we have the wherewithal to do this project. We're intending to build, a half dozen or a dozen of these a year. This is one location of many we're looking at right now to do. We're expecting to start this year at least 3 or 4. I'll introduce Nick Giacobbe, who oversees this development effort for us, and he can tell you a little bit about his background in the gas station business, and then can talk to you a little bit about our plans for this site, if you don't have any questions for me.
Anybody have any questions before he swaps it over?
I'd like to hear the whole presentation first.
Okay.
Sure. How's it going? Nick Giacobbe. I've recently joined TPG, the Prakashani Group. I grew up in the oil business. I born into it basically. My father worked in the business for 50 years. In 2008, we developed our first gas station in the recession. We basically did our first deal when no one was doing deals, based on our background in the business. We basically expanded. We have our second location, just about to break ground, our third location, and this, as Ron said, this is one of about 4 or 5 more we're actively pursuing. Our business is, my father is, grew up as an operator and then moved over to the wholesale side. So we kind of understand, not just the retail, but we understand the business, from start to end. Basically, our vision was to bring fueling stations into like the modern age. So you don't really see the mom and pop per se anymore, with the 2-bay garage and the couple racks of candy bars and the one thing of soda. Now it's these big, clean, well lit, well landscaped, easy traffic flow locations. And that's what we're proposing to the board today. So the renderings you guys have is our last location. That's located at 2340 West Main Road in Portsmouth. It's almost identical to that. So the buildings are 5,000 square feet. Mr. Mungeon will occupy 1,500 to 2,000 square feet within the building. The building does have a drive-through. We have TVs showing the news, the stock market, the weather. It's a very modern take on the fueling business. It's very warm and welcoming. Those particular renderings actually show a car wash. We're not proposing a car wash at the innovation site. Like I said, it's pretty much very, like I said, we looked at the Flying J proposals. It's very similar. We like obviously the traffic count off of 24. We like what obviously Amazon brought to the area. We're very familiar with the rest of the industrial park, Yates Rubber, Blount Seafood. We actually know a lot of the folks there. So we saw it as a good location for the expanding growth of our business. So anything questions?
Bob, did we want to start with you? Do you have any questions for him?
I don't have any. Let me just adjust it for a minute. Can you go on to somebody else?
While they're chatting, Joe, do you have any questions for him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can talk about the proposed employment levels that we expect for the gas station. You want to talk about that, Nick?
The initial generate about 12 to 15 jobs off the bat, and then obviously depending on hours of operation and sometimes that grows, and that's just the gas station portion of it. That doesn't include the Dunkin' Donuts portion of it, or potentially the new restaurant that would come in.
So those all full-time jobs?
Yeah. It's usually 2 to 3 people on for minimum. We're typically open 5 to 11, depending on how the traffic goes on innovation. We consider maybe a 24-hour spot, just because we know the Amazon is going 24 hours, and we know that does over 1 million packages a week. So we want to be able to service the needs of that area.
Can you just explain a little more about the structure of it? I know Rhode Island DevCon will develop and continue to own the property. Is that right?
Correct.
So who owns the gas station, Patriot Petroleum, and who will operate that? Is that
It's all in one. So.
Rhode Island DevCon will actually operate the
So
gas station?
it'll be Patriot Petroleum, it'll be a division of, it'll be a separate entity, but it's actually all pretty much under one
It all
umbrella.
comes up, it all
Under
rolls
one
up to
umbrella.
Prakash.
So Prakashani will be the real estate holder. My family and us as Patriot Petroleum will be the operator. The ownership structure will be together. And that's actually not just for this specific location, this is for all of our locations.
So you won't just lease the property from Rhode Island DevCon? Is that right? Patriot Petroleum won't lease the property from Rhode Island DevCon? Is that right?
I don't know how we'll structure that.
It depends on the financing arrangements. We may set it up as a lease, or we may set it up as just a operating agreement, a management agreement.
I mean, the long and short of it is that RI DevCon will own, develop, and operate under different corporations or LLCs the property.
Is that the way the other location is set up? It's owned by Rhode Island DevCon, the other Patriot Petroleum?
Yes, it's in the process. Like basically, when I came over to Prakashani,
Okay.
all of my holdings are part of it. So
Okay.
yes.
So they were actually buying out your business, actually, your business. They're sharing
That's
your business.
correct.
And our family is reinvesting our gains into the overall structure because we obviously believe in this.
So the power of TPG will be behind this facility from start to finish. It's not going to be flipped off to a...
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Michelle, do you have any questions?
Yeah. I know in the letter, it stated that it was substantially the same. So when you say substantially the same, obviously there's differences. So what are the differences? What don't you have that the other plan had? What do you have that the other plan didn't have?
It's more of a question for.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anything, to be honest with you.
I mean, obviously the layout is different. That was certainly a more truck-centric proposal. Flying J is sort of more known for servicing tractor trailers. Ours is probably more consumer-driven. We have a more consumer-driven model in the convenience store and the Dunkin' Donuts. We will have a separate island for diesel, but I would say that that's the main difference is we probably have a more consumer-centric retail operation than they do. I don't know enough about their plan, but we're not going to have many of those kind of facilities have showers and changing rooms and things like that, and we won't have that.
So essentially, for us to make a decision, we need to know complete plans. But it doesn't seem that you necessarily know the complete plan at this point, based on that statement.
When you say complete plans, what do you? I mean,
Well, he's saying, some have showers, some don't.
No, that's
no,
what I'm talking about. Flying J.
Flying J. That's
We're not going to
We
have
don't
that.
have that,
We're
yeah.
going ours is going to be basically a retail building of 5,000 or 6,000 square feet with a 1,500 to 2,000 square foot Dunkin' Donuts and the number of pumps that are shown on the plan.
Okay, now, also there's a potential approval of a restaurant in the future. What type of restaurant are we talking about? How does that fit into the plan? Because it's a little difficult to fathom approving something.
We're not here asking for approval of the restaurant. That we just think that a restaurant could possibly work in that location. If we were able to locate a tenant to do that, we would come back and get approval for that and seek approval for that.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I wasn't here in 2016. I know that there are covenants in place that dictate, to a large extent, what can exist there, what can't exist there. So I definitely would need further information from our attorney and get more facts clarified
We approve.
beyond this.
To the use.
Mhm. But I don't think I have enough information to, at this particular moment, say, sure, I feel 100% comfortable with it. In other words, I think for me, there's more fact gathering. I think we need to have more discussion. In regards to amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Flying J proposal to me was withdrawn, which to me sort of indicates that there was no alternate developer. So, I don't know, I guess I just need some more clarification.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Joe, do you have any questions for him?
Just one quick question, just to clarify pretty much what you said through your presentation. So my understanding is that the plan will reflect the layout that you provided us somewhat, and I understand.
Yeah, in most material respects.
Yes.
And that includes a 5,000 to 6,000 square feet building, which will be used primarily for retail, and I guess it will house the Dunkin' Donuts shop as well.
Correct.
That facility will employ 12 full-time employees.
For the gas and
gas.
the Dunkin' Donuts will employ additional people. Do you know what the? 20.
So you're looking at 30,
So total-
32 employees, 35 employees.
So this proposed plan will generate approximately 30 jobs, full-time jobs. Okay. And it also has provision for future expansion for a restaurant, right, of some sort, but that's,
That we would come back if that was to materialize.
and the ask right now is to remove the covenants that we had on the previous OEA and change to what you're asking for this plan, to fulfill the requirements of this plan, right? Is that,
No, because
Is
we
that my
already
understanding?
I
approved
think we're just looking for a use approval, yeah.
this use.
but I thought there was some
I think that's
covenants there.
the issue.
So
I think that there's some covenants there or some language there that we're being asked to remove. That is my understanding, correct?
Yeah, we're, just so you know, we do have an executive session later on, where
Okay.
we'll go and discuss
Those
all of that.
details, okay.
But there will have to be an amendment to that land disposition agreement to encompass all of this.
I just wanted to kind of clarify, to make sure that I understand correctly what you did present to us. It is a significant change from the previous plan. I mean, the previous plan, it was pretty much for truck stop, as I used to call it, and I was not in favor of that. So it is a big change from the original plan. I guess we need to get all the details and understand what is it that we need to do to the ODA.
Lori, do you have any questions?
No, I was kind of writing notes, but I wrote original was more of a truck stop, that's what I was getting, and this would be more of a welcome center type family coming through, truck stop, gas, sandwiches, whatever.
Right, I know, we think that this is going to service both the,
And
we're not,
other employees, businesses in the industrial park.
Correct.
Once we heard about the change of so-called backers, owners, however you guys are going to formulate this, to Patriot Petroleum, did anybody take an opportunity to go to Portsmouth and check out their store? Any of the board members?
Didn't say.
Because I hopped in my car and I actually went to the Portsmouth store. And so my 2 cents on your facility, it was very clean. It was well lit. It was a little bit bigger of a scale for what the grandson of Cumberland Farms had been trying to do. And then read in the newspaper that you're gonna have a spin-off from Zillies.
Yeah, they're open, yeah.
Is open in there.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to see who you were, what you
Sure.
were doing, and what we would, potentially have on
Yeah.
a piece of property in the city. And, so I encouraged the board members, it was 20 minutes, right down the highway before the entrance to
And
the
actually
boatworks.
also Google it and it shows up on the
Right.
Google Maps.
So I want to thank you. I mean, the initial thought is agreeing with Joe and Lori and the other board members to not see the tractor trailer truck stop in your plans was a relief from my perspective. To see potentially for a restaurant, get the Yard House to come, that would be really good. But, so I thank you for coming and presenting. I'm not quite sure where we go from here. My other perspective is your Rhode Island local company versus a Texas-based company that we approved. So I think that's an important factor when we go in to discuss whatever we have to discuss to go forward in one direction or the other, is that, you are a local company
Yep.
that has been around for a very long time. So I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Coming
you.
in front of us, and I'm not quite sure, John, the path, we thank them, and I know we have to go into executive session.
Right, so I don't anticipate a vote now, I anticipate a discussion, determination.
I would just ask in your executive session that we also don't forget about the second part, which is the right to transfer to transfer the property prior to construction, it was in Lou's presentation, but again, that's obviously important to us because our plan would be to have him purchase the property and then we would purchase it from him, and then we would start construction.
And I think we just also want to clarify the reasons why we would be going into executive session, because it's a provision under the open meeting law to be able, this board to deliberate and specifically about any negotiations relative to real estate. So it's appropriate that that conversation continue in executive session.
And just to clarify before we leave, Lou, you had mentioned, I just want to make sure I've got the sequence right. The buyer has his own LLC that would be purchasing the title,
Yes.
right? And then,
Yes. Yeah, that would-
then what you're saying is, once the title is purchased, this is who's going to develop it, and we want the approval to have the developer.
He nominated an LLC to purchase under
Right.
the LDA, and then we'll take title, and then at some point, probably shortly thereafter, there'll be a transfer.
Gotcha.
Right,
I just want to make sure I get that sequence.
We'll want to, once this stuff is straightened out, we'll want to finish whatever permitting is required on a local level, planning, et cetera, building permit, all that stuff, get to the point where we have a financeable project, then we would have a closing, and then go on and build the thing. We expect 6 to 8 months to build these kind of
And
facilities.
Mr.
It's
Munyon
what it
is going to be the franchisee. His family's been doing business in Fall River and that and other business for over 50 years, I think.
Right, it just
And we've
did-
already negotiated the lease, so those terms are all completed.
Right, and just to keep it in context, the board is selling the real estate. It's still subject to all of the permitting.
That's right.
Zoning, planning, building, all of that stuff still has to happen. And if for any reason the property's not developed, it comes back to the
Ground has to break in a year from the time we purchase, and we have to finish it, the whole project, within 2 years from the time we purchase.
Yeah, we move, we've done this a couple of times, we know, we move pretty quick. We're not looking to sit around.
Yeah, we have-
We'll get
have
a
a-
shovel in the ground right away.
Yeah,
Not
not a
at
problem.
all.
I mean, we have a large construction department. We have, various kinds of projects going on all over the country at all time. We have quite, we have something like 150 people at our corporate offices in Cranston, that support all of our various businesses. So we're ready to step up and take care of business here.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the board? Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next item on our agenda, do I have to read all of these?
We do, and then we
Yes.
have two findings, so go slow and take your time.
Yes, I will. Proposed executive session to review and/or approve executive session minutes of July 31st, 2019 pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A and 21A7 and 22G. To review and respond to open meeting law complaint pursuant to Mass General Law C 30A 21A1 filed by Colin Diaz. To discuss strategy with respect to litigation pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A 21A3, Ken Fiola, D. Dwello, B. Wynn versus Forever R. Redevelopment Authority, Kara O'Connell, Bob Smith, Michelle Dion, Lori Taylor Brinko, Joseph Oliveira, Bristol County Superior Court docket number 1873-CV-01132. To discuss potential real estate transactions for RDA parcel City Pier pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A and 21A6. And to discuss real estate transaction at the South Coast Lines Science and Technology Park at Fall River located on Innovation Way, Fall River, Mass. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, 21A6, Robert Mungin, parcels F and H, Plan Book 157, page 79, Innovation Way, Freetown, Mass.
So under item C, we need the chair to make a finding that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body.
I find that.
And under D and E, we need a finding that the chair would determine that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body.
So I have both of those findings, that C would have, an open meeting will have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body. And D and E, that the open meeting will have a detrimental effect on our negotiating position of the public body.
We need a roll call vote. We need a motion,
Just to
roll
be-
call vote, and not to return to open session.
Right, and just to be clear, all of those references, the C was the litigation initiated by Mr. Fiola and et al. And D was the real estate transaction regarding the city pier, and E was discuss the real estate transaction at the park.
Roll call vote.
So we need a motion, second.
Ms.
roll
O'Connor.
Do we have a
call vote.
motion?
I make a motion to go to executive session to discuss the 3 items that you just pointed out without returning to open session.
Well, it's actually, you're gonna
Two motions.
discuss all
5 items.
5 items
All 5 items,
with the findings relative to 3.
And not to return open
and
session.
not to return, yes, not to return to open
So we need a
I'll
roll call
second.
vote.
Roll call vote?
Ms.
Can
O'Connell,
we second it?
Yes.
Yeah.
A second.
Ms. Branco? Yay,
Yes.
or no? Yes. Ms. Dion,
Yes.
Mr. Olivera,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.